After months of campaigning, Music City will finally get a new mayor today. Voting for the runoff election is underway right now throughout Davidson County. Mayoral candidate Megan Barry was there at the Curb Event Center to cast her ballot and greet voters. Her opponent, David Fox, also casting his vote at the West End Fire Hall this morning. Even though the race has been heated, for one couple, their decision was one they were confident about.
We came down on the exact same side. We didn't have to debate. We discussed it. We discussed the pros and cons of it. We didn't have to have a debate about it. We were both going the same way.
10 at-large candidates are also vying to fill 5 open seats in the Metro City Council. Voters will have until 7 p.m. tonight to cast their ballots. And make sure you keep it right here on News Channel 5 for all day and evening election coverage. We'll hear from the candidates and have live reports from area watch parties later tonight. Political analyst Pat Nolan joins Rory Johnston beginning at 7 on News Channel 5 Plus to break down all the numbers as the polls close. The New York City Police Department Internal Affairs detectives are investigating claims by former pro tennis player James Blake that officers threw him to the ground and handcuffed him in a case of mistaken identity. As Hannah Daniels explains, a witness mistook the former player, who was once ranked 4th in the world, as a suspect in an ongoing credit card fraud investigation.
Oh, James Blake!
James Blake was once the world's 4th-ranked tennis player. But on Wednesday, the Harvard-educated athlete was on the ground in handcuffs after being mistakenly detained by New York City police.
It shouldn't have happened, and it's something that we'll deal with the police.
Blake says an officer in street clothes slammed him to the sidewalk and told him to lay face down. The NYPD says a witness wrongly identified Blake as a suspect in an ongoing fraud investigation.
It is a remarkable likeness to Mr. James Blake. They look like twins.
New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton held a news conference Thursday to address the incident.
My apologies for the incident which he found himself involved in.
Blake was let go after a retired officer working security at the hotel told police they had the wrong guy.
Have you had any conversation with them at all with the cops yet? Not yet. What would you like to hear from them? An apology.
The 35-year-old retired tennis star says he suffered cuts and a bruised leg. Police Commissioner Bratton says he hopes to apologize to Blake personally. Hannah Daniels for CBS News, New York.
Raging floodwaters are rising in Japan a day after a typhoon smashed through the country. More than 30,000 people have fled their homes and hundreds more are stranded, some on rooftops. Rescuers in Japanese military helicopters have already pulled dozens to safety. The deluge is the result of a low-pressure system that's the tail end of a tropical storm passing through Japan. The fear now is more rivers could overflow and trigger additional landslides. Floodwaters are not expected to recede for days.